Hey, what's up, Loyal, and welcome back to the Cover 3. I'm your host, Rob Fredrickson, and joining me is Mike Valenti and Brendan Highland. Let's just start off the show by saying congratulations to the Greyhounds once again. They had a great season, and unfortunately, they ran into a great team in Ohio State. But, boys, just keep doing what you're doing, and you'll be back there next year. But let's get right back into the Cover 3, guys. Now, we have 3 topics to go over, and let's start with no other than Peyton Manning. He decided to sign with the Broncos. I think it's questionable, at least. I know there has been a lot of people saying that he shouldn't have signed there. Maybe there was other places like San Francisco and Tennessee. But Brendan, do you think he made the right move signing there?
I don't think that he made the right move at all. I think that if you look at this from strictly a football standpoint, how do you not sign with the San Francisco 49ers? You have the best defense in the league. You have offensive weapons like Frank Gore, Vernon Davis. They just signed Mario Manningham. Michael Crabtree to surround Peyton Manning with. Coach Harbaugh's Coach of the Year in the NFL this year. He's on the upswing. I don't understand this move at all.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say this move is more than questionable. I'm gonna say this is gutless because obviously Peyton Manning does not care about winning, and he's also money hungry because he just got $96 million, 5 years. I don't think any other team would have given him that. And like you said, you look at the 49ers, they're now loaded with talent. They have by far the best defense in the league. Mm-hmm. If you want to win and win now and win trophies, because how many years he probably has? Like 3. You go to San Francisco. Even Steve Young was saying this is foregone conclusion he's going to go to the Niners, and this is kind of shocking to me going to Broncos. I still don't consider the Broncos better than the Patriots, the Ravens, or the Steelers. So to me, this is mind-boggling, and he's also going to get beat up in that cold weather.
They might not even be the best team in their division when you think about the Chargers. I mean, I know they had down year last year, but a lot of that was Phillip Rivers. He can come back and have a big year. I don't understand this. They have nobody really to surround him with. I know they're talking about, maybe getting Jonathan Stewart, maybe getting Dallas Clark, whatever, but that doesn't compare to the amount of talent that he would be surrounded with in San Francisco.
Yeah, I think this was shocking to say the least. I honestly don't even know why Denver was in the running for Peyton Manning to begin with. I mean, and they were an 8-8 team with Tebow last year, but it wasn't like they were, one player away or a quarterback away from, being the best team in the AFC or anything like that. And like you said, Mike, the cold weather, Denver's a mile-high city, they call it, and it's hard to breathe up there. It's cold up there. It's going to be tough for him to last 5 years. So let's just talk about that right now. You have 5 years, $96 million. Is he worth that? Did the Broncos give him way too much?
I think they gave him way too much, especially in that cold weather. The atmosphere, I think he maybe has 2 years left now. And he's going to get beat up. I know he doesn't get sacked a lot, but this line is not even like the Colts line that he's had for his whole entire career. So I don't see where this is going. And if you think about this too, Denver's 2 best players on defense are in their mid to late 30s, and Brian Dawkins and Champ Bailey. So I don't understand this move whatsoever.
Yeah, Peyton Manning turns 36 on Saturday. I know that this was the first year that he didn't play every game or start every game, whatever, but you're turning 36 years old and you're coming off neck surgery. This isn't like Tom Brady torn ACL, whatever. This is neck surgery. This is something severe where if you get hit once, I mean, I don't know, but paralysis, I don't think is like out of the question when you talk about a neck injury. That's like serious business. And the other thing that I really don't understand about this from the Broncos standpoint, I would argue that Tim Tebow is more valuable to that team than Peyton Manning. I think that he makes that team better than Peyton Manning does. Not saying that Tim Tebow is better than Peyton Manning, but the offensive versatility that Tebow brings to the table is something that Manning doesn't bring. And when you tailor your offense around Tim Tebow, you saw the success they had. I don't know why you get away from it.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, questionable to say the least. And for 5 years, I don't think Peyton Manning's going to be able to play until he's 41 years old in that cold weather. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it was a money decision. I don't see the talent around him that, like you said, we saw in San Francisco or even Tennessee, with Kenny Britt and Nate Washington. They had some better wide receivers over there, I believe, and Chris Johnson, sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm very interested to see how it plays out next season.
The other thing that I think we're starting to see now, and I guess the Packers started this trend when you have Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers sitting behind him, and then you had Aaron Rodgers play with Flynn sitting behind him. I wonder if maybe Denver will go out and draft a quarterback and just let him sit. I'm not saying in the first round or whatever, but maybe in the second, third round, pick somebody, let him sit behind Manning, let him learn, and then in 3 years, shoo away Manning and let the young guy go.
What bothers me most about this move is that if he goes to the 49ers, there's going to be pressure for Peyton Manning to win now, and this is telling me that Peyton Manning doesn't want that pressure whatsoever, and there's not that much pressure in Denver because this team is not really expected to be 12-4, 14-2, and go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So this is, from my standpoint, I don't understand that move.
Yeah, we'll definitely see how it plays out. You'll see next year in the Cover 3 how Peyton Manning is doing in a Denver Broncos uniform. But let's talk about one other player who's been in the league for 14 years now. Just announced that he's retiring today. Mike Hines-Ward is retiring. The Steelers released him about a week and a half ago. Did he make the right decision retiring?
I think he could have helped out another team. I think he was just a little bit bitter that the Steelers didn't want to re-sign him. He's been a great pro his entire career, 14 years. Definitely a Hall of Famer. Won 2 Super Bowls, top 10 in catches and receiving yards. He used to light people up when he blocked. I just think that he could have played definitely on another team, maybe another playoff team, help him out. He could always make big catches. And for me, the Steelers, I think they should let him go because he was getting old, and their offense now is tailored around young, small, speedier wide receivers, which you see around the league now. It's a more explosive passing league. Right. But I think Hines-Ward could have definitely helped out another team.
I agree with that completely. And the other thing is, Hines-Ward, more than anything for an organization, he's a leadership guy. He's somebody that you want in the locker room because he has this experience and because he's a good player. I mean, people are going to come in, they're going to respect him. He's going to demand people's attention. I don't understand why he retired. I agree with you. It might have been a little bitterness, a little hostility towards the Steelers. But I think it's unfortunate to see him go.
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely may be about how bitter he is, maybe. Or, I just think, unlike Peyton Manning, who's prepared for a new setting or new scene, a new team, I don't think Hines-Ward was ready to go move into a new locker room and meet a bunch of new players and learn a new system. I think this may just have been his time. So, if it's a personal decision and he's ready to leave the NFL, then, good for him. But I hope he doesn't regret it and, try and come back in a year or two when, he just doesn't have that ability to play football anymore.
The other thing is that I think that Hines-Ward, for his 14 years in the league, has been one of the more underappreciated by the public wide receivers in the NFL. I mean, he's a good player. He put in solid stats year in, year out. I'm pretty sure that Super Bowl, one of the Super Bowls that he won, he was the Super Bowl MVP of. So, I mean, he's not. I mean, it's not like he was like a chump receiver.
There's no doubt that he could have an impact on another team, but he decided to retire. So, he had a great career. Congratulations to Hines-Ward. He's probably going to be a Hall of Famer someday. So, we'll see. Hopefully, he doesn't try and make a comeback like Brett Favre. But let's hop right into topic number 2, and we're going to talk about the NBA update. The trade deadline just passed, guys, and there was a big no move and some smaller trades. But let's talk about that big no trade, and that was Dwight Howard. He decided to stick around for the Magic. He's going to stay this year and next year. He's locked into that contract. Brendan, do you think he made the right move by staying in Orlando?
I think that he did not make the right move for a few reasons. One, I don't think that they're in any position to win right now. Two, he's been talking about he's on the move, he wants to leave, and then now he goes and does this. I think in the eye of the public, a lot of people lose respect for you when you do that. And I just don't see him sticking past next year. I mean, give the team one more chance, whatever, but bottom line is, I think at the end of next year, maybe even before the end of next year, I think he's gone.
Not that I want to agree with you or anything, but I think he should have been traded as well. I just don't think the managers have the player on their roster to even trade to make the team better. They tried to get Monta Ellis. They couldn't work anything out. They just don't have the talent around Dwight Howard to bring in more talent. And I think Dwight Howard should have been traded to the Nets, or he should have been traded to the Lakers, where he has a brighter future and he has much better players around him. And as far as the whole thing that he wants to leave, he wants to stay, according to a lot of sources, his agent has been telling people he wants to go, but the whole time he's wanted to stay to see if Orlando can bring in that player. But right now it looks like they can't bring in anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I applaud him for staying. I dislike the trend of superstars leaving their towns. Cleveland is a great example for LeBron James. And I think that, you could fight through the adversity. And I think that Orlando does have the opportunity in the summer now to make some moves, whether they pick up a couple of good players or another star to surround them with. Like you said, I know you said they don't really have the trade pieces, which is true, but sometimes teams will make the move just to clear some salary space or something like that. So maybe they can make that move in the summer to appease Dwight Howard. But if they don't, then like you said, Brendan, I think they could he's definitely out of here after next season.
I think that if they wait till this offseason, they have to make a big-time splash. It can't just be like you're bringing in a role player, or you're bringing in a 6-man off the bench or something like that. You're bringing a shooter just off the floor. You got to go out and you got to get somebody who's really going to bring headlines to Orlando and another superstar that he can play with.
Yeah, they can't just get another Glenn Big Baby Davis
Absolutely.
again.
Yeah.
And Orlando too can't risk losing another Shaq because that would just ruin their franchise once again. So they need to make a big move for either some type of shooting guard or a small forward that could take the burden off
I
Dwight
was gonna
Howard.
say they need to get they need to get a scoring win.
Yes.
Maybe even beat the Heat.
Right.
I think that they definitely have this opportunity. I think Dwight, gave them the chance to make the team better around him, and we'll see what they do with that. But guys, let's talk about the other trade deadline moves. Mike, in your opinion, what was the best move made at the
I'm
trade
gonna have to
deadline?
go with Steven Jackson trade to the Spurs. This is finally that they got a good wing player who could drop 20 a night and is also tough. The Spurs have been a tough-minded team this entire time under Popovich, and he's a tough guy. He'll hit you. He won't let you get easy layups, and of course, like I was saying, he'll score for them. He's athletic, and he's a big three-man.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ramon Sessions of the Lakers. I know a lot of people are like, Ramon Sessions, like, is he really that good? It's not that he's such a great player. It's that he gives them more athleticism on the perimeter at the point. He's younger than Derek Fisher. He is offensive-minded. He's not going to say, Kobe, give me the ball in the fourth quarter. He's not that dumb. But he's another scoring option that they can have. He can go off the dribble. He's more versatile than Fisher. He can guard twos. So I like the Ramon Sessions.
Yeah, I
move
think
for the
those
Lakers.
are two good moves as well. And I'm going to go with Nick Young going to the Clippers. The Wizards the Clippers only gave up Brian Cook and a second-round pick in a 3-team trade. So I think the Clippers really got a steal in getting Nick Young. They were in desperate need of that two-man who could score after losing Chauncey Billups and earlier in the year. So I think Nick Young's going to work out great. I know he's not the most consistent player, but at the same time, he could light it up on any given night. But guys, who made the worst move at the trade deadline?
I think the worst move is the Memphis Grizzlies not making a trade for anybody, because if they trade for, maybe send O.J. Mayo in a package, they could trade for that second scorer behind Rudy Gay, and this team would easily be a top 3 team in the West. They already have a lot of talent. I just think they should have made a move for a legitimate scoring guard, because they don't really have one now. I know they just signed Gilbert Arenas, but that's a huge project.
Yeah.
I just think them not making a move at all was not good for them.
Yeah, I'm going to go with all the moves that the Portland Trailblazers have made. You give up Jared Wallace, you give up Marcus Camby, you fire Nate McMillan. Where's all this coming from? Why is it happening now? Your team is a pretty good team. You have a young star in LaMarcus Aldridge. Why are you basically just dismantling your whole team?
Yeah, they did go crazy at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
The Portland Trail Blazers. They were the top team in the East for a while, in the West for a while there, but then they just kind of spiraled downwards.
It didn't make sense to me.
But my worst move is going to be again from that 3-team trade where the Nuggets gave up Nene, their star center, a very solid center, only receiving JaVale McGee and Ronnie Turioff in return. The Nuggets are a playoff team, and I just don't see how JaVale McGee will match up to be Nene. I just think it's not a great move for them at this point.
I think that the Nuggets were one team in the West that matches up decently well with every other team in the West because they had Nene, because they had a big physical presence inside, somebody they could bang with Aldridge and bind them. And now you lose that and you get JaVale McGee, who's somebody who's really hot or cold, hit or miss.
Yeah, it's definitely, that move baffled me a little bit. But guys, let's talk about current standings in the East right now. Chicago is actually 3 games up on Miami, and they've been doing it without Derrick Rose. Mike, do you think they're going to be able to hold on with that top seed for the rest of the season?
They'll probably stay at the top the entire year, but I don't think it really matters because like last year, the Heat were the 2 seed. They went into Chicago, beat them up pretty good, and they're relatively the same rosters. For me, Chicago, best team defense in the entire league, night after night, most consistent. But once they play against Miami, they're not going to have enough scores. They're going to tire out Derrick Rose. So, yeah, they could stay in front of the East, but I don't think it really matters.
I also think they're going to stay in front of the East. I said it a few weeks ago. I think they were going to. And the thing for me with this Derrick Rose being sidelined, it lets everybody else gain confidence in their offensive game so that when they do play Miami, it doesn't necessarily have to be the Derrick Rose one-man show against 5 Miami Heat defenders. I think that that's very important. If guys like Luol Deng and, Joakim Noah, Carlos Boozer, I know that those guys aren't on the level of, Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Chris Bosh, but those are good guys who offensively can give Rose a break so that Rose doesn't have to go 1-on-5 every possession.
Yeah, I think Chicago's going to hold on to it. And like you said, Mike, it really only comes down to what matters in the playoffs. But, I think that Boozer is playing much better than he played last season. And I think that they have that would be a great series, Miami and the Chicago Bulls, because those are 2 tough defensive-minded teams. And I think it's just a matter of who comes out on top offensively in those games. But guys, let's hop into basketball, college basketball. We're going to switch it up and talk about college sports for a little bit now. And topic number 3, we know March Madness has been going on. There were some crazy upsets. And let's talk about the 2 craziest ones. There was 2 15 seeds over 2 seeds, and Duke and Missouri lost. Mike, do you think the selection committee made a mistake picking Duke and Missouri as 2 seeds?
I think they were both deserving as 2 seeds. Maybe you can make an argument that Duke isn't really a 2 seed without Ryan Kelly, because as you saw, they just got upset in the first round. Maybe shift Florida State as that 2 seed. But I don't think they really made a mistake. I just think that both teams played very poorly, and they played two teams that were looking for the upset. They knew they could beat them, and they took advantage of it.
I agree with that completely. I don't think the selection committee made a mistake at all. And the other thing that I think flies under the radar in this is the best player in the game, in the Duke Lehigh game, was C.J. McCollum for Lehigh. I mean, and when you have the best player on your team and you're mid-major, and particularly when that player is a scoring guard, you immediately have a chance against any team because he can instantly change the game.
Yeah, I mean, Duke definitely did not play well. What were you going to say, Mike?
I just think the most, and pretty much the biggest upset was Missouri losing against Norfolk State. The whole year, Missouri maybe being a 1 seed, they have those 4 great guards. Yeah. And as you see, they're a very flawed team. They're not big. They don't even have a true big man. And O'Quinn on Norfolk State killed them, got offensive rebounds all game, and they got upset.
Yes, they did. And we all know Norfolk State didn't last very long, getting ousted by Florida by 35 points. So, those are bad upsets. It's been only 4 times in history that a 15 seed has beaten a 2 seed, and then it happened twice in 1 year, so now it makes 6 times.
I think that the one thing that for Duke, I looked at that game and I said, they are really slow laterally on the perimeter. I mean, their lateral quickness between Curry, Dawkins, Rivers, I guess, but he's not really a defensive-minded player. They just couldn't guard anybody.
The only true athlete that Duke had in that team was Austin Rivers.
Yeah.
Missing Ryan Kelly was huge because he could spread out. He allows for the paint to be unclogged, so people like Rivers could drive to the rack. All Lehigh did was sit in the paint, and Duke couldn't hit their shots as well.
Right.
Well, guys, the other big news from the tournament was UNC's starting point guard Kendall Marshall has an injured wrist in the game against Creighton, and he had surgery. They're saying he may not be able to play. He's probably not going to be able to play, it looks like. What does this do to UNC's chances, Mike?
Well, he's probably the best in college basketball. I started fast break. He's arguably the best pure point guard in the league, too. He's second in assists in the entire nation. It's a huge loss. Ever since he was in offense, Harrison Barnes took off as a player. And now UNC's going to have to go point guard by committee with maybe Harrison Barnes being their pseudo point guard. It's a huge loss, and especially since I picked them as my national champion because I thought their starting 5 is the best. It's the best in the country. I hope he could play just because, he's a good kid and UNC really needs him.
Yeah, I think that Marshall is probably the most valuable player to his team of the 16 teams left. And when you take him off a team like this in the way that they run their offense, I think it's a huge, huge loss to this team. You watch them, and he gets the ball off an inbounds, and immediately he's looking up the floor. How many times a game does he just throw it to Zeller? Just catch, turn, first pass, and Zeller's already getting the layup before the other team has 3 players past half court. When you can't do that now, that takes you completely out of your offense.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to struggle much in their next game because it's against 13 seed Ohio. But I think once you get past that, they're going to see Kansas. And I think that's when we may see the struggles from UNC start, that they don't have their starting point guard.
Tyshawn Taylor is definitely going to be able to take advantage of that point guard matchup.
Right.
He's one of the best point guards in the league. That's willing if Kansas gets through the next round against NC State.
The other thing that I don't want to sell Ohio U, or as I'm going to call him OU short, but DJ Cooper for them is a stud point guard, and to not have Marshall, who's somebody who really, even though he doesn't score the way DJ Cooper does, the way he passes the ball and gets assists is basically equivalent to the scoring that DJ Cooper brings. And the other thing that I would do if I was playing against UNC, I would immediately ball pressure the point guard every single possession, pick him up right when he touches the ball, because if it's not Kendall Marshall, you're looking at Harrison Barnes, who's not a natural point, Stillman White, who's a freshman who barely touches the floor. I would ball pressure the point guard and see if he can make plays.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely see how UNC fares for the rest of the tournament. But, guys, for our next round, there are some low seeds still left in the tournament. Mike, who do you think is on upset alert in this?
I think Ohio State against Cincinnati is on upset alert. Cincinnati's a very athletic team, 4 great guards, kind of like Missouri a little bit. Yancey Gates a load inside, maybe even bigger than Sullinger. And Cincinnati likes to make the games low scoring. They play backyard basketball, as we call it. And we watched Loyola play Ohio State in person, and Ohio State did not look that athletic. They had some great players, but athletically, I think Cincinnati is a superior team, and I think Cincinnati could definitely take advantage of this matchup.
I agree with that completely, and I think that Cincinnati can play them in that 2-3 zone and give Ohio State trouble because of their length on the perimeter. And I also think that they could play them man and just play Sullinger one-on-one with Gates, and I don't think that they really are at a disadvantage the way other teams in this tournament would be. And on the opposite end, I think that they can throw the ball inside Yancey Gates and make Sullinger play defense and maybe get Sullinger in foul trouble, and that could be the difference in the game.
Who's your upset, Brendan?
Cincinnati over
Oh,
Ohio
Cincinnati.
State.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I'm going to go with Florida over Marquette. You know, Florida, they've just been killing teams lately. You know, the first round, an easy game. They played Gonzaga, I believe, in the first round. And then the second round, they took care of business against the 15 seed Norfolk State. And Patrick Young is an absolute beast for them on the boards. He could shoot a little bit. I think Florida's going to be a tough team in that lower bracket right there. Guys, anything you want to add before we end the show today?
I don't think so.
I think you're going to see after this round the elite talented teams will be in the Elite Eight and in the Final Four because I really don't see these higher seeded teams with that much talent to be able to compete.
I will say this: you can't have 3 Ohio teams in the Final Four in Xavier, OU, and then either Ohio State or Cincinnati.
From the Cleveland boy saying himself.
No.
Well, Loyal, that's it for the Cover 3 today. There will be auditions being held for the Cover 3 soon, so if you want to be on the Cover 3 as a host or an analyst, please email us at greycommsports@loyola.edu. We'll catch you next week, Loyola.